someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something looks like a man. I don't know what it was, just that it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was, whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it if I was going to chase it. So whatever it was standing up. I'm out here looking through the window now and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
Gino,
Hello?
get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes.
You're listening to Paranormal 411, coming to you live from an undisclosed location deep within the Appalachian Mountains, bringing you the unknown with your hosts David Reagan and Jason Scott. Paranormal 411. All right, welcome back to the show. A new show.
Yeah, we got our ducks back in a row. We've done it 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row
Uh-oh.
with the show.
So we've got a good show coming on tonight.
Yes, we do.
This is going to be great, right?
We got a great guest, Theresa. I hope I pronounce it right. Racer from Spectral Research and Investigation in West Virginia. She is from creepy West Virginia. It's pretty creepy over there. They got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. That's for sure. So, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Work doing pretty good this week. It's work.
It's work. That's all I can say.
I got you. I understand. Same with me. It's just work. Work's work.
See Bird Dog in the chat room.
What's up, Bird Dog?
We just did an investigation with Bird Dog last week.
We did. Jason's gonna get it all together and put it up on our. Where are you putting it?
Everywhere I can. Yeah, it's taken me a while to put it all together because I've been working a lot and sleeping a lot.
It's quite a bit of stuff that we did though. It was a few hours, so
yeah.
So you've already caught a few EVPs that were pretty good too. So
yeah,
it's going to be fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's going to be good
once we get it together. So that's awesome.
So before we get to Theresa, you know what it's time for?
What's that?
This Day in History with David.
Well, thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
So today is February 4th, 2022. So on this day in 1945, the Yalta Conference opened. So during the final stages of World War II, the Yalta Conference opened with Franklin D. Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin meeting to plan the final defeat and occupation of Nazi Germany. Also, on this day, in 1789, George Washington was elected and served as the first U.S. president by a unanimous vote in the first electoral college. And that is but a few of the things that happened this day in history.
Wow.
Not bad, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool
So-
stuff that happened on February 4th.
It's hard to believe we was working with Stalin.
Right. Or Churchill. But Stalin very much.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well, he got defeated, so that's all that matters.
it is what it is, right?
Yes.
So, but we're going to have a great show tonight.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to take a really quick break. I'm going to play something we haven't heard in a while, too, from Catalyst.
All right.
A little Run, Red, Run.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be back right after these messages. But before that, also want to let everybody know, that like Jason said, Theresa Racer's on Spectral Research and Investigation. Her website is linked to our site on paranormal411.org. It is also on our Facebook page.
Yes.
So you can find that there. And we are live on Spreaker and on Podbean. You can also come to our website, again, paranormal411.org. Sign up, become a member. It's free. Right, Jason? Doesn't cost nothing.
Yep.
Completely free.
Completely
And
free.
We like free. And when you do so, you could come into the chat room and actually chat with us. If you don't sign up, you could come into the chat room, but it will not allow you to chat. So just sign up, become a member. It's free. Doesn't cost a dime. So, and we look forward to seeing you in one of our chat rooms tonight, whatever it is.
Yes, we got 3 different ones here going.
Yeah.
So
you just pick your own poison. We'll be here for sure. So we'll be
South
back.
Oz man in the house on Podbean.
What's
over
up,
here.
South Oz man?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. And we'll be back really quick. This is going to be a quick break. And we're going to talk some ghosts and stuff tonight. So be ready. See you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join us.
In a world on the edge of oblivion, go to paranormal411.org for all of your paranormal, extraterrestrial, and cryptid needs. This is Jeff Reagan of the band Catalyst. Visit Paranormal 411. Click on our link on the right-hand side to listen to or purchase any of our albums on BandLab.
All right, we're back after that quick little break. That was Catalyst rocking the house with Run Red Run.
Yeah, one of our favorite songs that they do.
That was actually one of the first songs we played on here.
It was, yes. And we got to thank them for allowing us to play all their music. And it's definitely a great thing. For all you people who are local in the East Tennessee area, just want to let you know that Legends and Lore Pizza, now at some point they are going to make a advertisement and be playing it here. But until then, I'd like to give them a shout out. Eddie from Legends and Lore is an awesome guy. He's been on tons of ghost hunts and hunted for Sasquatch, and just he's done all kinds of fun stuff. And an awesome dude to talk to. He's modeled his store after that. I mean, pictures of Sasquatch and all kinds of stuff up on the walls, isn't it, Jason? It's really cool.
You could spend a whole day in there looking at the walls.
You could. And his pizzas and stuff, I am telling you, this is no lie. They are freaking fantastic.
Tell them about the pizza, boss.
Man, I'm telling you.
Tell them about the pizza, boss.
It's some good stuff. It really is. They've got pizzas called like Area 51, the Jersey Devil, Sasquatch, the Legend, Alien Abduction.
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. That's
yeah,
one that
and let me tell you something. The wings are
they're huge.
As big as my leg.
I'm telling you, they're like one wing is the size of
it's a Cornish hen.
Two of any other place you go. I'll just say that. I won't name any other names. They're huge. They're fan freaking tastic too. I mean, and everything is very good quality, very fresh.
Yeah.
And but we like to support Eddie and his endeavor with this Legends and Lore Pizza. It's fantastic.
Yeah, if you get a chance, he's in Madisonville, Legends and Lore Pizzeria.
Yeah, definitely check him out. Tell him that, hey, you heard it here on Paranormal 411. You ain't gonna get nothing for it, but he'll definitely come out and talk to you though, because he's a big fan of the show, and hey, you never know, he might do something with you anyway. But he's a big fan of the show, and he has a lot of knowledge in a lot of these areas. He's done a lot of stuff, and it's fun talking to him, and he has a ton of stories. So, just wanted to get that out there.
Well, thank you. Let's get to some.
Let's do it.
Theresa Racer. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right. If not, she can correct us when she comes on.
And we'll be okay with that.
So, Theresa is a lifelong resident of West Virginia with a lifelong interest in the paranormal. With over 20 years of paranormal investigation experience, Theresa has explored ghosts and hauntings throughout the mountain state and surrounding areas. She shares her experiences and research on her blog, which is a pretty good blog. I want her to talk about her latest blog entry. The name of her blog is Theresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State. She's working as a lead investigator, too, with Spectral Research and Investigation, based out of Huntington, West Virginia. So we can go ahead and bring her on, David.
All right. How you doing?
Hey, how are you all?
Hey, did I get your name right?
You did. That was perfect.
Right, yes.
So how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. We're getting a little blizzard right now for some reason that I don't think we were expecting, but
yeah.
Other than that,
Tennessee weather then.
Yeah.
It'll
change.
Well, we barely caught the end of that ice storm that came through. I mean, we were right on the edge, so we got a little bit, nothing major. But now, my husband was coming home from work, and he's like, "Don't go out."
Yeah, I was in Dallas yesterday, so it was really bad in Dallas, and so luckily I was able to make it home in time today.
You wasn't missing nothing, because here in Tennessee it was terrible.
Was it
raining all day?
Was it? Well, I was in ice. I didn't send you the pictures, did I?
No.
I'll send you the pictures. It was terrible.
Well, tomorrow it's supposed to be sunny and 75.
I could ride the Harley tomorrow. Woo! That's awesome.
So, Theresa, why don't you just start by, I guess, telling us about what you do and why you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of a loaded question.
What got you started in it?
A lot of people have these really cool stories, like, they have this defining moment, like, okay, this happened, and this is how I got into the world of the paranormal. And my story is kind of a little muddier than that. There was really no one defining incident or, time period. But I think it probably dates back to my maternal grandparents. Now, they were from Beckley, West Virginia. And, it's about an hour and 15 minutes away from where I'm at. So I spent all summers with them, a lot of weekends while my parents, were working or doing other things. So I spent a lot of time, like, in the mountains of Beckley with my grandparents. And, we were Appalachians, and like most good Appalachians, our family history is a mix of Scots and Irish and Cherokee. And so my grandparents grew up with a lot of these stories and legends and all this just, kind of crazy stuff going on. So when I would go over there, instead of telling me like bedtime stories, they would tell me ghost stories. And especially like the ones from our family. My grandma grew up in a haunted house where I guess somebody was murdered and they left the bloody pillow up in the attic. And so when, her family moved in, all these strange things kept happening. And finally, they went up in the attic and threw this bloody pillow away, and everything stopped.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, they would see this woman in white walking down their stairs, and they had a calendar that was hanging on the staircase, and it would fall down, like, every night around midnight. And so all the stuff stopped when they threw that bloody pillow out. Oh. But they also, my grandma's family had what I kind of liken to maybe being akin to a banshee. For years, like, her family grew up in the Hinton area of West Virginia, and they grew up on an area of Hinton called Irish Mountain. And any time that one of the family members was about to pass away, they said that as they were going down the road from Irish Mountain down into town, they would see this faceless woman in white cross the road in front of them. And they knew if that woman was seen within 3 days, they were going to be dead.
Wow.
So yeah, I kind of blame them for the start of it. They are the ones that really nurtured that kind of creepy side of me that I think was always there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
Bloody pillow and all.
And then I really got serious about investigating kind of later in life. We had moved from Huntington to Winfield, which, is only like 15, 20 minutes away. But we bought this house from my former stepfather's mother. And the house wasn't that old. It was less than 20 years old at the time. And we were only the second owners. But my stepfather's father had passed away in the backyard. And like all through my preteen and teenage years, I'd want to have slumber parties like a normal little girl. And my friends would come over and they would leave in the middle of the night, like screaming and crying because they would see the man walking down the hallway.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I knew that not everything that we were experiencing, was paranormal, but I wasn't really, people kept telling me, oh, well, none of it is, there's no such thing as ghosts. All this can be explained. And those explanations didn't really fit, I didn't think. So that's when I really, really started researching the paranormal and trying to find out, okay, what definitely isn't, what could be, things like that. And, as I got older, I was like, hey, maybe I can help other people that have these same issues as I've had growing up.
That's good. That's, I was just thinking, if you like told the story to your friends before they ever came over and something, it could just be their mind, their mind playing tricks on them. Because I know if, like when you get an EVP, to me, if I influence you by saying what I think it is, you're going to hear it too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, whenever we think that we have an EVP, we never tell anybody what we think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that probably played a bigger role, especially as the years went by, because my house got that reputation. But the first couple of times, I didn't say a word, and people were saying stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's been almost 30 years later, and I mean, we still have experiences in this house. My mom still lives here.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
West Virginia's pretty wild.
It is.
They got the Mothman. They got everything. What's that? The mountain people that
Melungeon?
I can't think of what it is. It's some wild people that live in the mountains over there somewhere. But I can't remember what the name of it was.
I don't know. I can't help you with that one, Jason. Sorry.
I'll think of it.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of grew up near the mountains, but yeah, I grew up in Putnam County, so suburbia all the way. We didn't have any mountain people that I was aware of.
So on your blog, I see you got wild man attacks train near Morgantown.
Yeah, I just published that today.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, February 4th. You want to tell us about that, or?
Yeah, I can.
That'd be good.
So my research, well, my interest in the paranormal really kind of fall in line with like ghosts and hauntings. That's what I research, I investigate. That's my main focus. But I love West Virginia's weird and crazy history. And so the older I've gotten, I want to kind of explore like the cryptozoology side, the UFOs, the spiritualism, anything that's just kind of really weird. Because I think, in a lot of ways, it's all interconnected. So I love, on my blog itself, just writing about anything weird that I come across. And recently I've gotten really into, kind of researching the history of these wild man encounters. And I came across this book. Now, I had purchased this book a couple months ago at the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum's Yeti Festival that they had. And unfortunately, the author of it just passed away not too long ago. So I'm especially glad that I was able to pick up his book and add that to my library. But the book is where I found this encounter at, because I'd never heard about this before. And it happened in 1905, and it's this little town between Morgantown and Fairmont in the northern part of the state. And, this passenger train was just, going from Fairmont to Morgantown, and this guy comes out and is kind of like, waving at the train, trying to get it to stop, and the train doesn't stop, so he starts shooting at it. And they're like, whoa, no, we can't do that. So they actually arrested this local man, and they, had him in the local jail and everything. But while they had him in the local jail, another guy, there's a crazy, wild-looking man, was, same train, coming through the same area, and he started throwing stones at it. And so I guess one of the employees of the railroad's like, no, we're going to put a stop to this. So they stopped the train, and he was going to go after this guy. And I guess this guy was so wild and crazy acting and looking that he's like, no, I'm not doing this by myself. And he tried to get the passengers on the train to form a posse, and they're like, nah, we're good. And so the article itself, I love looking up these old newspaper articles about weird stuff. Yeah. And the newspaper article really is like, yeah, well, we don't know if it was the same guy or what, but it was probably a mental patient that, escaped.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like they said, he was kind of a giant.
Yeah, he was only 6 feet tall, though. So, I mean, I know people were shorter back then, but to me, 6 feet, even in 1905, wouldn't be a giant.
No, not at all.
I kind of talked about that in the blog. It's like, it kind of disappointed me, because I love these wild man stories that it's like, oh my gosh, Yeah, that had to have been like a Bigfoot. And no, this is definitely just some crazy guy.
It was probably at group of people I was talking about. I don't know. I can't remember the name of that group of people.
I don't know, Jason.
I don't either.
I just know the Melungeons that were found, but I don't think that's that group of people.
Wow.
Can't help you. So, in the investigations that you've done, how many investigations have you done of something that was, we'll say, truly, I don't like using the word demonic because I think it's way overused.
Right.
But something that was definitely sinister in some way, shape, or form. Is that on the scale of, on your shorter side, or is that quite a bit of stuff that you've done?
Oh, it's definitely extremely rare. Like,
that's what I thought. I
mean, honestly, maybe I've just been extremely lucky all my life, but I would never. I would say that nothing that I have ever investigated was, like what we would think is demonic.
Right.
As far as malevolent, honestly, malevolence-wise, either it's very, very rare, and even then, I mean, I can't say, oh, well, that thing was actually malevolent. Well, I mean, obviously, I can't prove that any place is actually haunted or ghosts exist or anything like that. But, I mean, we have investigated locations that have kind of like a heavier feel, and that the people living there have reported not so good, things happening to them. Things like, scratches, seeing things that scared them really bad. Just, negative, just the negative air about the property. And this has never been from any sort of like business or historical location. This has always been residentials that I've felt any sort of malevolence about. And it's really hard to say because I haven't experienced it. Like, I've never been scratched or pushed. Or attacked, or nothing has ever followed me home. And trust me, I'm like not a religious person or anything like that. So I don't pray. I don't ask them to stay there. I mean, I go and investigate and I come home, and nothing has ever followed me or, bothered me. So I don't know, maybe I've just been really lucky, but I think a lot of it is perception. And, even if we say, okay, yeah, something is malevolent, something that does exist there is a haunting, there is some sort of entity. Is it really being malevolent, or do we perceive it as being malevolent because it's trying to get our attention any way that it can?
Right. And that's, I'm along those same lines in a lot of my feelings. Growing up, at the age of 3, I was able to start, I actually saw these, beings or things or spirits or whatever. They would actually wake me up every single night. But at the age of 3, that was a very scary thing because there were these very real beings in your room, but they weren't supposed to be there. They weren't see-through. They looked tangible. And so, for up until I was 5, these things, I would scream and run around the house all night long screaming. My mom would wake everybody in the house up, and this happened till I was about 5. At the age of 5, I finally was like, yeah, you don't scare me no more. It didn't stop the hauntings in the house. The house was a very haunted house. It didn't stop the hauntings in the house, but it did stop them from waking me up in the morning and proceeding to, I won't say chasing me around the house, but me running around the house screaming. But, to a little kid, what else are you going to do,
Yeah.
I think if it was to happen to me more now, I think that I would be, to the point where I'd be like, okay, what do you want? I didn't know that back then. I didn't know that maybe they wanted something. Maybe they needed something from me and that they knew I could see them. And, I still do to this day, from time to time, still see things. And I don't, a lot of times I don't get a malevolent feeling. Now, my wife and I did go to Old South Pittsburgh. And there's some stuff that happened. And something there used me and my wife a little bit and pulled our energy. When we left the place, and it was only there for like 4 hours, I think. When we left the place, I literally couldn't drive the rest of the way home. The wife had to drive us the rest of the way home, and I went to sleep. I was just completely drained. Completely. And so, I think sometimes if people don't realize what it is that's happening, then maybe they see that as malevolent.
Yeah. And I mean, we definitely, we try to teach empowerment to our clients. Like you were talking about when you were a child. Well, my son is 12 now, but when he was younger, he was scared of something in the house. He was seeing somebody in the hallway outside his bedroom door. And, so we try to, give him some tips like, well, if you see this, just tell him, hey, go away. I don't want to see you right now. And I waited until he was spending the night at my mom's house, and his dad was out of town. And I went in the hallway, and I just stood there, and I was like, you are more than welcome to share the space, because, it might have been your space before we moved in. But right now, we are the living. We own the space. We will allow you to stay here, but you better not ever show yourself to my son again or scare him or scare anyone in this house. If you do, I will be exercising your butt, quicker than... And we never saw it again.
Yeah, well, and that's something that I try to tell people is that the first thing you have to do is own the space. You have to own it. Yeah. It's yours. This is mine. And I'm the one who calls the shots, and I'm the one who says, if I even allow you to be here, what you can do while you're here. And if you don't believe that, and you don't believe that you can do that, then it's not going to work. It's a full up believe thing.
And that's exactly what we tell our clients too, because, every once in a while we'll have people that want to do some sort of cleansing or blessing. And we always try to make sure that they are an integral part of that. And it is something that they believe in, because I can, go burn sage and splash holy water around and say whatever. But if you don't believe that those actions and words have power, then they don't. Right. So we're just, wasting each other's time.
Exactly. And with it being their space, they're the ones that has to believe it. And, you know, when we was doing what we did this last weekend, we kind of said the same thing, is that, we can't, anybody could come in here, a priest could come in here and bless this house. But if you don't believe that it got rid of them, and you don't tell this thing you don't want it here anymore, then it doesn't matter what you do, it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, what all places have you gone and investigated? Have you gone to any crazy locations?
We've been, so Spectral Research and Investigation is a fairly new group. We formed at the end of 2020. Before that, I was with another group, and oh gosh, I was with them for almost 15 years, and we went all over the place. We got to see some great locations. And then that group just kind of, time marched on. People started having families, job changes, and it just kind of fizzled out. But so far, since I've been with Spectral Research, we've had the opportunity to investigate some really awesome places. Just a couple of weeks ago, we did the Glen Ferris Inn in Fayette County, West Virginia. We've done the Old Hospital on College Hill in Williamson, West Virginia. And that one is quickly becoming like the next really big, huge haunted location that, all the TV shows are filming at now. And so that one's going to be a big one. One of our favorites is we've done the Haymond House in Sutton, West Virginia. It's this beautiful, historic, it's like an Airbnb type of rental right now, but it's, oh my gosh, we've had some crazy experiences there. And one of our absolute favorite places is this little antique store in Beckley, West Virginia called Deep End Antiques. It's at the site of an old motel where some really shady stuff has happened over the years.
Yeah. Well, an antique store itself would be pretty interesting. I mean, there's no telling what's in there. I
love doing antique stores because I love antiques anyway. But so we go into this experience, and we've been investigated twice there now. And we've planned on a third visit too because we love it so much. So, we were prepared for, okay, what we might encounter might be attached to one of the many, many objects in the store. And he has a lot of really cool objects in his store. He specializes in sort of like military memorabilia and prison auction items. So a lot of it has a really dark history. And then we're like, well, okay, there's probably a lot of hauntings that, from the stories we were told, are associated with the actual property itself. At one time, it was a nice, respectable motel, but then it quickly devolved into where all the prostitutes and druggies hung out. There was a lot of violent crime, including a lot of murder. And so we were kind of prepared for hauntings in those two realms. And, it didn't disappoint. We had some crazy experiences. We think we made contact with one of the working girls in one of the old hotel rooms that's actually still used as storage. But we experienced something else there that didn't have anything to do with the antiques or the property. We met a little creature called the Alvinic. Have you all ever heard of an Alvinic?
No, never have.
Okay, I wish Brian, our leader, was here to tell his experiences with it because his are hilarious too. But Travis, the owner of this antique store, comes from a Slavic background. His family was actually brought over here as indentured servants, and they worked the mines. But he has this really strong connection with his family history, and ever since he was a little child, he had experiences with this. And I don't really want to call it a demon, but it's more like maybe like an elemental or a fae type thing. Mm-hmm. But it was just this little entity that they called an Alvinic. So in Slavic countries, the Alvinic it's kind of like, it looks like a kind of a cat, a little black cat type thing. And it was kind of like a house fae, but it ruled over the barn or the silo. And if you left it offerings, it liked to eat roosters, and this, it's called Bellini. It's a type of Russian pancake. It liked those things. But if you made it mad somehow, then it would burn your grain silo or your barn down to the ground.
Oh.
And so he didn't mention this thing at all to us. Yeah, it's definitely
like a little Dobby.
Dobby.
Yeah, that's how I like it too, a little Dobby. But he didn't tell us about this because, it really didn't occur to him to, tell us about this thing. But, it kind of follows him around. And we were in the back area of the antique shop, and I was out in the hotel room storage area. So I wasn't even in the shop itself when they first saw it. And Brian, our founder of SRI, he kind of saw it first. And he, saw what he thought was a black cat. And he's like, a black cat, as a pet running around the shop? And he's like, oh, well, you just saw the Alvinic. And I guess, he told him the story of it. And so I come in and, we're getting ready to kind of switch areas. And one of our members that was inside the antique shop pulled me aside and he's like, you're not going to believe this, but Travis has this little cat monkey demon in the back. And I'm like, what the actual blank are you talking about? He's like, no, seriously, he has this thing, he called it an Alvinic. Now, I never heard of it either at this point. I'm like, okay, I want to see it. So everybody else was at the front of the store, And, Travis was telling him another story about something that happened. And I went back into the back area by myself to see if I could experience this, because that's where it hung out at. And I was sitting on an antique couch back there, and I was just kind of, looking ahead of me. And I felt at first something jump on the back of the couch. And I have a cat at home, so I was like, it kind of felt like a cat jumping on the back of the couch. And I turned around, of course, nothing was there. And so I was kind of sitting there, and I'm like, man, I really want to see this thing. I wish I could see it. And I kind of said out loud, like, hey, if you're back here, can you please show yourself to me? I'd love to see you. And it was right at that time that Travis had walked back through that area on his way to the office. And he's like, have you seen it yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't seen it yet. I don't think it's going to show itself to me tonight. And he's like, it's right there. And I'm like, what? And he's like, no, seriously, come over here, follow me. It is right there. And so we head back towards the office. And, this is a working antique store. So, like, in the office area, he has this, like, it's like a blue Rubbermaid tote. And it's just kind of full of, like, some stuff that needs to go out on the shelf and stuff like that. And he's like, do you see it? And I'm like, no, I don't see it. And he's like, looking at the tote right there. And so I'm walking towards this tote, and I am staring, and I see what I swear, I have a black cat. It looked like there was a black cat sitting in this tote. I could see its little white teeth poking out. I could see its green eyes. It blinked at me. And I'm within probably 2 feet of this thing. And I am staring and staring at this thing. And I'm having an existential crisis, because part of me, like, the logical side's like, this doesn't exist. These things don't actually exist. And the other part of me is like, but I'm seeing it. It's right there. And so I'm thinking, okay, he's got to be lying to us. He's got a pet cat. And he reaches out towards that tote to try to move some stuff over so I could see it better. And it literally just kind of like melted in on itself and disappeared. And I was like, what was that? And he's like, why didn't you take a picture of it? And I'm like, that thought did not even occur to me. Like, now I know how, like, Bigfoot witnesses and UFO witnesses are like, why didn't you take a picture of it? Right. I was like, that was the farthest thing from my mind.
Yeah, they always say, why are they so blurry? Well, if I do get a picture, my hands are moving.
Yeah. I think it's the Cheshire Cat.
The Cheshire Cat?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, my married name is Cheshire, so maybe there's a connection there.
Oh, yeah.
A little synchronicity.
You know, I have a cat, and that thing will not have nothing to do with anybody unless it wants food. And then when you walk in,
that's funny.
It runs right beside me, goes between my legs, jumps up on the table where it eats on the table.
Oh.
And meow, meow. That's all you hear for about an hour till you feed it.
That's funny.
Every time you walk by it. It don't matter if you just fed it.
It's hungry, Jason.
Yeah. So we got a question in the chat room.
Okay.
Why?
Bird Dog says,
yeah, read that.
why do you think a dead person would remain in their homes after they've
in their own homes?
Yeah.
Man, if I could answer that, then I don't know. Like, I've got kind of different theories. I don't think that there's one nice, clean explanation to explain everything that we would call a ghost or even a spirit. But, for the reason why some people stay and some people move on to wherever they're supposed to go, I mean, I don't know. Kind of looking at it from a religious standpoint, I know a lot of people don't believe in ghosts because they think, well, that doesn't fall in line with their religious beliefs. You're either, you're awaiting the resurrection, or you're in heaven or hell. You're not walking the earth.
Right.
But if you believe that, then you can kind of also believe, well, we were given free will. So would that not apply to maybe we're not ready to move on? We don't want to go on for some reason. Maybe we're scared of what we'll find on the other side. Maybe we want to.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I think maybe they may be afraid, and maybe their religion itself has scared them into thinking, well, was I good enough? Am I going to go to heaven or am I going to go to hell? Well, maybe I just don't want to go to the light. Maybe I'll just stay here.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, even in life that are so controlled by their vices that they don't want to give, that up, and they want to stay here with what they're used to. Maybe look out for surviving family members. So it's a great question. I wish I had an answer, but I mean, I could stop theories all day. But
I tell you what, Bird Dog, if I pass on before you, I'm one of those people that would want to stay here. I just am. I don't know why. I'll come and tell you why.
I'm gonna jump into my next life. That's what I'm doing.
I want to stay here and scare the heck out of some people.
I'll do that to my wife first. My wife's going to get a little bit of that before I decide to go move on.
Okay. What would you do, Theresa?
oh my gosh, I would definitely stay here.
Yes.
I always said that if I die, then I want to haunt like a library or a bookstore to finally get around to all the books that I didn't get to read while I was alive.
Yeah, that'll work.
There you go.
I just want to float from house to house and just see what's going on and come across a bird dog's house and just make him poop his pants.
That's funny.
I know he said something.
He says physical death is supposed to end our free choice.
Okay.
I don't know. I just I believe there's something here because I've seen it my whole life, and I know. And you know, this is a thing. I understand from a skeptical's point of view. The people who's never seen, never heard, never had. You know, I've been scratched. I have pictures of being scratched. I've got pictures of ghosts. Jason and I have got great EVPs that we've caught. You know, we've got all these things that are completely unexplainable. But the one thing that I can see, it's like a lot of people that are religious. I'm like you. I am not a religious person. You know, they talk about faith. Right, they have faith in what it is that they believe. Mm-hmm. I don't have to have faith because at the age of 3, I started seeing these things. So right. I don't have to have faith because I've seen. So I understand from a skeptic person's point of view.
You know that there's something.
I know there's something there because I have seen them, and recently I've seen things. You know, I mean, it's not just when I was 3, and so you know, at the same time, I could understand both points of view, you know.
And that's honestly something that I struggle with as, you know, an investigator and, you know, as an experiencer of these things. I mean, because all my life, I have seen stuff that I can't explain. And so I do have that skeptical side because, you know, I think you have to have a skeptical side if you're going to investigate. If you don't, you're not doing this field any favors whatsoever.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know what we're dealing with. I know we're dealing with something that deserves to be studied, and it's something that interests me, and I don't know if I'll ever have the answers in my lifetime. And I've made peace with that if I don't discover the answers in my lifetime. But but I can't say what. Is it, are these things that we call ghosts, are they the spirits of dead people? Are they, time slips? Other dimensions rubbing against ours?
I think all that's possible.
Yeah, I think all of these, like I said earlier, there's no one explanation that's going to cover all of what we call ghosts. And that's what the fascinating part is trying to, figure all of this out.
I think once you pass on and your energy leaves this shell, you're able to pass through these dimensions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're able...
you're in a higher dimension at that time yourself.
Right.
You're no longer stuck in this third dimension.
And there's no doubt about it. Science says there's multiple dimensions.
At least 10, and they say if 10 exists, then then there could be an infinite number.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
So that could be a big thing.
Well,
with it.
you know, and this is my opinion, so I don't want anyone to get up in arms or get mad at me over this opinion. This is my opinion.
Hold on now.
I have been crucified for this before. But this is my opinion, and it's just, you know, I'm an old guy, and I've studied a lot of this stuff over the years because it has fascinated me because of what I went through from such an early age. And I believe a lot of things like people call demons and all this other stuff. I honestly, and this is again my opinion, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but my opinion of these things is that these are dimensional beings that feed off of people. So these are dimensional, you could call it dimensional vampires or you know,
I think it's the worst of the worst.
You know,
spirits.
like you could say it's a tick. I mean, it's something that feeds off of someone else, and it requires that energy to feed off of someone else. And that's their sole purpose. And they can come down to the lower dimensions to get what it is that they need. My opinion, it's not worth nothing because, you know, but that's just from what I've thought of myself, you know.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier when I was talking about like malevolent stuff and these like private investigations.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of the malevolent entities in homes where there's domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
drug abuse,
Mm-hmm.
depression, you know, and in a lot of ways, we as investigators, when we do a residential case, we are less paranormal investigators in a lot of cases and more social workers.
Yep.
You know, we actually have qualified mental health professionals on our team, you know, that can help recognize this and make the proper referrals, you know, to kind of, you know, help these people with a multi-prong approach, not just with their paranormal stuff, but okay, let's see what that stuff is feeding off of. And, you know, let's get that taken care of. And then paranormal stuff seems to solve itself.
Right. And that's what I think, you know, I think a lot of these things are just parasitical in nature. And,
yeah.
And they find the right situation and they feed. And, you know, whatever comes of that, you know, and, but that's all they're there for. And, they care about nothing else. And most parasites don't, right? They're there feeding for their own pleasure. And, so yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I can't talk for Jason, you know, but Jason is a big proponent for dimensional stuff. When you come to dimensions, I mean, even when we talk about Bigfoot and stuff.
Well, I think you can open portals like with the Ouija board, and I think there's portals like that in these haunted places.
Yeah,
that things, maybe demons or what we call demons, come out of.
Yeah, we could do so many different places that, you know, are areas of what we call high strangeness. You know, being from West Virginia, Point Pleasant is a perfect example of an area of high strangeness.
absolutely.
I mean, because not only, you know, were they seeing Mothman, but even to this day, but especially during that 66, 67 flap, they were seeing UFOs, they were seeing Bigfoot type creatures, there was a white thing creature spotted, plus all these people were having psychic visions, seeing ghosts. A lot of people, you know, I'm sure you guys are fairly familiar with the Mothman phenomena.
Absolutely.
A lot of people who were supposed to be on the Silver Bridge, they had collapsed, had psychic visions to not go on that bridge that day.
Kind of like 9/11. A lot of people had stuff and just decided not to go into work that day.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been on, or if you know Sherry Perry, but she's from West Virginia.
Yep, she lives in West Virginia.
Right there close to, does she live close to Mount Pleasant?
Pretty close, yeah. She goes to
she's been on the show, and she tells stories. She's got a web, or on her Facebook page. What's the name of it again? Something Appalachian folklore, and I can't think of it all.
Yeah, it's long. I forgot.
Yeah.
But my wife is is in the chat room, and she could throw it up in the chat room, and then we'll know.
But she's talked about the Mothman.
Sorry, Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry, we wasn't prepared to mention your name, but and she is a premium member of Paranormal 411. Yeah, West Virginia is pretty interesting to me.
It is. Yeah.
We've got some of the weirdest cases in, both UFO history or monster history. I mean, we're just a weird place.
Yeah, along with the Mothman stuff, you've got, after the Mothman stuff, you've got a lot of the Men in Black stuff that happened. And then you have a lot of people who believe that they were alien, that the Men in Black are actually aliens and not humans.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty fascinating story too. So yeah, I don't know. You do have a lot of cool history there. and myself, being part Cherokee, all these lands up and through here are definitely Cherokee land, and there's a lot of history there too.
Ooh. Cherokee Indian.
Part Indian.
He's Cherokee and I'm Scottish.
I got a little bit of both. My dad's side is all German.
my last name's Irish. Yeah. So, but now my bloodline actually states that when I did my DNA test, it doesn't show any Indian at all. Now my little sister had Indian show up in hers, but I didn't have it show up in mine. It was all Scots, Irish, and Nordic.
I read an article about why that was, like why so many people like their what they know to be fact is their native blood. Why it didn't show up, I couldn't explain it.
It's really funny because my grandfather, my dad's dad, was full-blooded Cherokee Indian from North Carolina, and so the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. And the thing is that I was really weirded out by the fact that I didn't show any, but now my sister showed that she had some in her, and
that's crazy.
And so I started listening to this lady. And she specialized in that kind of stuff. And she said that when you get 50% from your parents, 50% from your mother and 50% of your genes come from your father, but it is not 50% of everything that they are.
Right.
So they may have things in there that you don't get any of, and you get more of one gene than the other. And she said that the only way to get a true history of your family is to have your grandparents, their siblings, all of their DNA done, your parents and all their siblings' DNA done, and then you and your siblings' DNA done, and then you might catch a fraction of what is actually in your DNA.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's pretty nuts. And we've done, and here I've gone and pulled us off topic. I'm good at this. I'm really... In our discussions, they may go anywhere. Just anywhere. That's just what we do, I guess. We're going to take a quick break. Let everybody go, do anything that they may need to do at this time. And we'll be back here in just a few seconds. Okay, Theresa?
Okay.
All right. We'll be right back. So we're talking with Theresa Racer from Spectral Research and Investigation. Remember, her website and everything is linked on our website at paranormal411.org. Come and visit us. We are live on Spreaker and on Podbean right now. And also, if you come over to paranormal411.org, sign up, become a member. It's free. You come over into our live chat room and chat with us here. And or you could do it at either of the other places too, because we've got 3 chat rooms because we're just that good, right, Jason?
Oh, yeah.
We also want to thanks all of our premium members for being premium members, and you guys and gals are awesome people. And you could also see that on our website if you're interested. And so we will be back here after a few messages. And
I'd like to give a shout out.
Go ahead.
Steve Manser,
The man.
our
New logo creator.
Oh yeah, he's our new what do you call it? Designer.
Yeah. There you go.
Virtual designer.
He did a good job.
He did.
He did a good job.
Want to thank him for all the effort he put into our logo, and he is a premium member, and thank you for your service.
Yes.
He's
Awesome.
all the way over in
England.
Yeah,
he's the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Steve. And we're going to go to a quick break. Remember, this is Paranormal 411, and that your hosts are Jason and David. Right, Jason?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay. And we'll be back right after this quick break.
This is Jeff Reagan of the band Catalyst. Visit Paranormal 411. Click on our link on the right-hand side to listen to or purchase any of our albums on BandLab. In a world on the edge of oblivion, go to paranormal411.org for all of your paranormal, extraterrestrial, and cryptid needs.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal 411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join us.
All right. We're back from that quick little break.
And remember, we want to thank Catalyst East Tennessee for allowing us to play their music. Awesome music.
Yeah.
And, we're having a conversation tonight with Theresa Racer from Spectral Research and Investigation. Remember, her website is linked to our site at paranormal411.org. So you could go there and visit. If I'm not mistaken, it's not only the website, but it's also her blog, right? Both are in there. So yeah, definitely go there, check her out, and we're having a great conversation, and we're going to bring her right back on. How you doing, Theresa?
Hey, still here.
So how you doing? All right?
Oh, good, great.
Hope we're not boring you too much.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I love talking to paranormal. I could do this all day.
That's what we love to do. Yeah, that's kind of what started us on this road, wasn't it, Jason?
Yeah. We're we first called ourselves myhouseishaunted.com.
Yeah, that was it.
That's when we investigated David's house he was living in.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's when I took off for 2 weeks and said, forget it.
He wouldn't come over to my house at all because it was haunted. Yeah, he was like, I'm done.
But you were talking about a place that is becoming like these TV shows hotspot.
Yeah, the old hospital on College Hill. It's in Williamson, Mingo County. It's in the southern part of West Virginia. And it just opened up to the public last February. So they're just, been in operation for just about a year.
So has your group investigated it?
We investigated it twice. We had such a great time the first time that we had to come back again. The first time we investigated it was last summer. And we have a friend named Zach who writes for Counter Magazine. And Zach has been working on an article about paranormal investigation. And so he's come to a lot of investigations with us. And he happened to be available, so he met us down there for this investigation. And this place is huge. I mean, up until it stopped being an actual hospital. It was built in the 1920s, state-of-the-art hospital when it was built. And it lasted as, the hospital for this area up until the 1990s when the new one was built. And Mingo County, West Virginia, I don't know how familiar you are with that area of the state, but it has the nickname as Bloody Mingo. And that part of the state is, even today, it's kind of, a high violence area. There were the mine wars, just lots of violence, lots of accidents occurring with the coal and the lumber industries. And so this hospital saw a lot of action for a lot of years. And it shut down as a hospital when they built the new one in the 1990s. And then for almost another 20 years, it served as doctor's offices. And then it closed down for storage. Now it's owned by Tanya Webb, and she has done an excellent job of preserving the hospital. She's collecting its history from the patients and former staff members. They're restoring it. They're turning it into this just excellent mecca of paranormal investigation. And so they offer paranormal tours. They offer private and public investigations, and they do a lot of really cool other things. They're doing a Valentine's Day event. And last year they had, who was it? I don't want to misspeak. Michael Myers was marrying people. You could go there and have, the guy that plays and Mike Myers actually preside over your wedding. So they do a lot of really cool events. But it's been on Destination Fear. It's been on a lot of, YouTube channels that, do investigations. But we got to investigate twice. And like I said, the first time we had Zach with us. And this was his second or third. I think it was his third investigation with us. And we just happened to be in the fourth floor of the hospital. And when the hospital was still open, they told us that a lot of the nighttime cleaning crew hated going up there Some would even refuse to go up there and work. And the fourth floor was where the pharmacy was at one point, but they also had surgery suites where the family could actually come in and, watch the surgery from, a glassed off area. So, we were told, okay, it's really spooky. People didn't want to be up there. But nobody ever really told us why. Like, what were these people experiencing that was so terrifying that they refused to go up there? So, we were investigating up there, and we were in this room where we were kind of facing the doorway. And it's completely pitch dark. And we've got a spirit box going. The spirit box says my name, which is kind of weird because Theresa is not a super common name, but we're like, oh my God, it's a Theresa. A couple of other kind of weird things started happening. We use a parabolic mic on a lot of our investigations, and the guy who was using the parabolic mic heard a little girl crying. And he's like, ew, this is really weird. I hear a little girl. And so I was like, give me the mic, give me the mic. So I took the parabolic mic, and from the same direction, like where the surgery suites were, I also could hear this little girl, and it sounded like she was crying. And as I walked closer to where the sound was coming, it sounded like she was saying, Daddy, Daddy, where are you? And crying.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we're like, okay, this is getting kind of weird. So we're sitting there, we're kind of observing. And we're kind of like, it's towards the end of the evening. So we're kind of like kicked back, and we're all not like laying on the floor, but pretty close to it. And we're watching these shadows coming towards the door. And it's really weird because it looks like these shadows are peeking around the door, like they're trying to come in. And every once in a while, it would set off the motion sensor that we had faced that way. And, we tried to debunk it. None of us moving could set it off the way it was faced. So we're all trying to move around with the phones at different lighting, to see if, okay, is it one of us, causing the shadow? Why are we seeing these shadows? And so for some reason, I don't know why, but I was looking away from the door. And all of a sudden I hear, whoa, what was that? And I look over, and our buddy that is the writer is crab walking as fast as he can back towards where Brian and James are, two of our other investigators. And he literally like almost jumps into their lap.
Did you say crab walking?
Crab walk, yeah, because he was kind of laying back on the floor. And this dude's like 6'5", and so he was making good time. But so he's kind of like thrusted himself backwards, and Brian has seen whatever he saw too at the same time. So Brian's trying to get up and go towards it, and so they're just kind of like clashing together. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what the hell is going on? What did y'all see? And so, we both had them, tell us individually what they saw, and they both saw the exact same thing. It was like a kind of a pinkish, orangish, not quite, flesh colored, but just kind of like much lighter, kind of like a pinkish, orangish head, no facial features, no hair, just a head come around that door, and they both saw it at the same time. Wow. And so that's why one was trying to flee one way, and one was trying to flee the other way. Now, I would have given anything to have seen what they saw, but I saw the aftermath of it, which was still pretty funny.
That's pretty good. So, in all the, investigations and stuff that you've been on, have you ever had anything that you thought was in any way evil or...
I said earlier that I haven't really. There might have been maybe a couple of cases where something was not so nice. Years and years and years ago, my old group and I investigated this place called the Emmett House in Waverly, Ohio, and it was. I can't remember all the history of it. It burned down several years ago, unfortunately. But at one time it was, there was hotel rooms. It was a lodge for, a fraternal society at some point, up until I think the 70s or 80s, women weren't even allowed in part of the building. But at the time it was a really nice restaurant, and we got the opportunity to investigate it. And I don't really think of myself as psychic, but I do probably think that I'm more sensitive than the normal person, especially when I really try to let go of that skeptical, logical side and just kind of let things come to me and just kind of accept it. And that was really the first time that I kind of allowed myself to do that. And we were in one of the old hotel rooms, and I had this really strange feeling that somebody was trying to connect with me. And I left that investigation, and this was a lot like what you were talking about at the hospital. When we left that investigation, I was so tired, and I had such a bad migraine that I didn't think I was going to be able to drive home. I had to talk to my boyfriend at the time the entire ride home just so he could keep me awake, so I could get home. And I came home and slept for 18 hours straight. I felt horrible. And I was like, man, am I getting sick? Or why did I sleep for 18 hours straight? Why do I have this horrible migraine? And the whole time I was having these really weird dreams about this man in a white shirt that was keeping me captive in this room. And I could see myself I was sitting in this old chair, but my wrists were tied to this radiator. And this guy in this white shirt would not let me leave. But it wasn't me. It was I was seeing through somebody else's eyes. And so I had these weird dreams about that. And so the next day, while we were at this investigation, we had got on video this kind of cute little thing that happened. So we had walkie-talkies because it was a big building, and we had broken up into teams. And on one of the walkie-talkies, we got this voice of this little girl singing Old Susanna. And we just kind of figured that we must have picked up interference from somebody's baby monitor or something. We didn't think that it was paranormal in any way. Just thought it was hilarious because we were down, in the kitchen area, and all of a sudden we hear, "Oh, Susanna." And it was really adorable. It was like a little girl singing. So we just chalked it up. So yeah, it was interference from baby monitor or something. But we had it on video. So, I get up the next day and stuff, and I shared it to a couple of message boards because, back then there was message boards. Right. There wasn't Facebook. So I shared it to that. And the first time I shared it, I got up and I was like, man, something is kind of stinging me. And, I went into the bathroom and I was getting ready to take a shower. I just happened to look in the shower, and I had 3 scratch marks on my collarbone. And I was like, that's kind of weird. I must have scratched myself last night while I was sleeping for 18 hours straight. And, so they cleared up. It was no big deal. They cleared up. And then a couple days later, there was another message board. And I was like, I'll share this on this message board, let people see it, because it's really cute. And as soon as I shared it, I got up and I felt that sting again. And I looked on my collarbone, and on my other collarbone, it was 3 scratches. And I was like, okay, this is getting kind of weird. And, so I talked to somebody that, kind of specialized in these things. And she's like, well, I'll pray for you. And I was like, okay, great. Thank you. And I didn't do anything myself. And then it stopped. It went away. That was the only, 2 things that happened. So I kind of wonder if maybe I had an encounter with something malevolent, or, maybe I did bring something home with me and this woman was able to pray it away, or I kind of like to think that there was already so many ghosts here in this house anyway, that it just nope, there's no room for me. I went back to wherever it was going to go.
Wow, that's That's pretty cool. I've been scratched. The house that I lived in that Jason helped me investigate once before. Well, we actually did it multiple times, but the first time that he decided he wasn't going to come back for 2 weeks afterwards, I had been scratched. Actually, on right below my right ear, scratched all the way down to my all the way into my neck. And, yeah. And all I was doing was sitting there watching TV. And, you know the feeling of being scratched. It starts burning and itching, and you go to feel it, and it's like, it's raised up and it's puffed, and you're like, what the heck is going on, you know? And, you feel it, and then you go, and I took pictures of it, and it was crazy. Yeah.
Well, I guess the only evidence that's happened to me would be from the equipment.
Right.
I've never had a personal experience. Nothing's ever touched me or scratched me or anything. I'm still sort of skeptical.
You're in the middle. But that's good, though. You're the other side that... So you balance...
I know there's another side of this. And it's another, if it's spiritual, dimensional, or whatever it is, there's something else there.
Right.
But I haven't been personally affected by it.
We do it enough. Ask Theresa. You do it enough. Something will happen. Right? Something will happen.
Yeah, I would love to agree with you, but the more I investigate, the less I believe.
Really?
I know that sounds counterintuitive, but yeah, I have been lucky to have a lot of experiences, both in my personal life and while doing this. But I don't know. I mean, I'll go through periods where I kind of feel jaded because it's like we hear these claims, and it's so easy to be able to explain them. But then I have to remind myself, okay, just because I can explain it doesn't mean that when this person experienced it, that's exactly what happened. So that I know intuitively you're not supposed to give a whole lot of weight to witness testimony, but when you hear these people, tell their experiences, and they're so, genuine about it. Like, you can tell that they truly believe that that's what happened to them.
And something's affected them.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these people, it affects them, like, really. I mean, not really always negatively, but it can be life-changing,
right,
to some people. And so, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of in the middle. It's like, yeah, I investigate this, so I'm learning all of these scientific things that can explain, why this is.
Mm-hmm.
How do I balance that with really being super objective, and saying, okay, well, maybe it's not always, maybe the science can give us the how, but maybe there's something else that will give us the why. Why do these things happen?
Right. Well, and that's the purpose of investigating, though, is to try to find the why, right? I mean,
yeah.
And I think it takes a special person to be able to just go and do these things and try to find that why. Because, every investigator, I think, that's what they're really searching for is the what is this? What is this? Yeah. Because no one could ever say definitively that this is, what everybody thinks it is. I mean, that's the purpose of it. So I think, what you do and your feelings on it are natural. It's natural to be skeptical at the same time of being, because if you don't have that balance, I think then you're going to be skewed to one way or the other,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've definitely, been to events and stuff where people like every little thing they hear or experience. Oh my gosh, that's a ghost, and I want that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I would love to be that thrilled. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. But then I'm like, oh, that's not a ghost. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you want to be like Zach Bagans, get possessed every show.
Right.
Did you hear that?
What was it? I don't know.
Footsteps.
Oh, I heard it because you just said it. No.
Something. It's cold. It just got through me.
I think that you can way overdo it in this field.
Yeah.
I think there's a fine line, and you have to keep the objectiveness, because if you don't, then you are going to be skewed towards the way of saying every little thing you hear, see, feel is paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were doing a great job when they first started.
Oh, 100%. And
then they got all crazy.
Yeah.
I think he went crazy.
I think he is, yeah.
Because he's got a museum and everything now.
Yeah. I would like to go see the museum.
Yeah.
But
I haven't been, but my sister's been a couple of times.
I do think he's crazy, though. Has gone crazy.
Now, have you watched that episode or it was a special of the Demon House?
Yes, I did watch that.
I did like that.
That was really interesting.
That was good.
I won't say nothing.
It could have been made up.
I don't know. I'm not saying nothing. I watched it. I'm just leaving it alone.
But I did see that shadow in there.
I'm not saying there ain't nothing there. I mean, I think that there's times where there's things at places, but I also think that you can over-exaggerate what you're seeing, feeling, and what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you are not there and you're recording it, you can make whatever you want. It's Hollywood. You can do whatever you want to with it. So I say trust your own feelings and your own instincts. Keep it
out of Hollywood.
People, I have. I've done the acting thing. I did.
I know.
At an early age of 18 and stuff. I moved to California and did all that stuff. The thing I say is that everybody has it built into them. You've got this thing that's built into you that tells you something's not right or whatever it is, and trust your gut. That's my advice is trust your gut, because it's not going to lie to you. 99% of the time, when you don't go with your gut feeling, you end up regretting it later on. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Trust your gut. That's my biggest thing is trust your gut. Whatever you feel, it's probably true.
Intuition.
I think everybody has it. I think that
most of the time when I follow mine, it's right.
Yeah. I really believe everybody has it. It's innate. It's just society tells you that it's not, and so therefore it's something that's a lost art, and just like divination and a lot of other things. And crucify me now, but whatever. So Theresa, what in all of your investigations and stuff, what is like one of your most memorable things that happened? Is it something you've already talked to us about, or?
Oh, I don't know.
Like something that really stands out, like you're like, oh yeah, this happened, and oh man,
something that scared the crap out of you.
See, that's not fair, because I don't get really scared of this kind of thing.
See, yes.
Something that could have scared the crap out of you.
Now we've had some investigations in the past where it wasn't anything paranormal that was scary.
Those are the ones that usually are the scariest, right? The things that are tangible.
Gosh. Yeah. I'm trying to think, because probably the Ovnik was one of the things especially like in recent history, that was like, because like I said, I literally had an existential crisis because part of my brain was telling me that these things don't exist. And another part of me was telling, well, what the heck are you looking at then? Because it's right there in front of you. So that was kind of a big one for me. I remember one of the most touching pieces of evidence I got one time. So this was a private residence, and it was in West Virginia. And this is probably been about 15 years ago now. So it was a long time ago. And we were at this private residence, and this woman's brother had recently passed away. And, she thought that he was still sticking around for some reason. And, our initial feelings were, well, okay, she's probably grieving. And that's the cause of, a lot of these things. She wants her brother to be there. So every little, sound that, that she's attributing that to her brother. So we came out and investigated. And there was not one man on the property. It was just a couple of us girls that were in the group, and the homeowner. And so there was no gentleman at all on the property. And we were in the bedroom where the brother used to stay. And I just asked out loud, I was like, hey, so-and-so, do you have a message for your sister? And the EVP we caught, and unfortunately, I don't think that I still have a copy of it because our website was taken down. It was on there for a long time. So I would have to really dig through my files. But, it was like clear as day. It was this like kind of countrified West Virginia accent, a man's voice. As soon as I said that, said, I want to say bye. And we didn't tell her what we thought what it said. We just said, we have something on audio that we'd like to play for you. Can you tell us what you think it is? And so we played the clip, and we had cut it down to all it said was just his voice, not my question to it, just his voice. And she burst into tears immediately, and she said, that's my brother's voice, and he just told me that he wanted to say bye.
Wow.
And so, of course, I burst into tears. It was later, like the whole thing where, where I had asked, you have a message for your sister.
See?
So where did the skepticism go then?
Right out the window.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Well, he just asked the same question I was going to say. With something like that happening, where you ask a direct question and you get a direct answer back, you have to say intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and forego any of the other stuff as far as where people will say, hey, it could be a demon pretending and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
We'll forego any of that stuff, but there's intelligence.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
It was someone that wasn't there. That's fascinating.
I was just really impressed, though, because, we didn't tell her what it said. So it was clear enough to where she could hear what it said. And so we tried to eliminate all of those influencing factors.
Yes.
Like I said, we didn't even play the part where I asked the question because we didn't want her kind of filling in the blanks of what she thought it would say based on the question. And she immediately recognized that was her brother's voice.
See, that right there, and that right there alone, those, your loved ones, and their voices. And when you hear it, you're like, shh, that's so-and-so.
And what really impressed me, too, was that, visceral reaction from her. She wasn't faking. She didn't burst into tears to be faking. It affected her.
Wow. See, that's fantastic. Those are the kind of stories I really enjoy, because that's something that can't be faked. Like you said, there's no outside influence. None. You just let her hear it for what it was. And she's the one who said, I know exactly what that is, That's fantastic. That's great. I wish I wouldn't have been so busy this week because I would have tried to get with you earlier and And I really like to try to get some EVPs from people sometimes when we have people on, and play them during the show, and get people's opinions on those things, because I really find it fascinating, because some people are like, well, I just don't believe in that kind of stuff. But then when you hear, obviously, something answer a question that's asked to them, what can you say? I mean, it's something.
Yeah. And, if it wasn't something that me and my team caught and I was right there, I'd probably be like, oh, well, that was just somebody saying something. And, so that's why I'm like, with my team, especially now, we try to, teach all of our members, okay, don't ever be, doing an EVP session unless you're on camera. I mean, So we record everything.
Yes.
We try to have several different pieces of equipment going at all times. So not only do we have that integrity, but, we have like that cross referencing as well.
Right.
So we try to be scientifically legit as possible, as possible as you can in a field like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way to do it, really, because you'll still have the skeptics, and the people that are naysayers and whatever, but those are the people we're trying to reach. So that's not generally our audience, so, but that's pretty fascinating. And, I don't know. I just find this topic, like I could talk all day, all night, just 24/7 paranormal, heck, it's in our name now, right? Paranormal 411. And we talk about all things paranormal, because everything that happens falls under the paranormal category, right? It's not normal, so therefore it's paranormal. But going back to this kind of thing, and spirits themselves, I'll go to a really hard question, and don't, if you don't, it's not about having an answer, right? Because in these kind of things, there's no such thing as right or wrong. Right or wrong doesn't exist. But in your opinion, and in your own investigations, what do you think that some of this stuff is?
Okay, so I've already mentioned a couple of times, that I don't think that there's any one explanation to cover everything. Right. I do really want to believe that the majority of what I deal with ghosts and hauntings is some sort of either intelligent, interactive energy source from people who've passed away, or at the very least, some sort of imprint of that energy source of people who have gone on before us. And I don't know why, but, that's what I really, I know part of it is that, being somebody who did not grow up, with a religious background and still don't. I kind of want there to be something saying that, okay, there's more to life than just this life. That somehow when our physical bodies are gone, we have the ability to live on in some way.
Well, science gives for that already, right? So we're energy. Our body runs on energy. Energy doesn't die. It just transforms to another state. So science itself already explains that. We just go to another state. What is that other state? Again, you don't know till you die. I mean, we all speculate on that,
So in some ways, maybe I'm just a weirdo, but I think it's comforting that, we still have these people around us in some way that can interact with us. Yeah. And, through my investigations, I used to think that, I would follow the old formula. Oh, okay, a lot of this is residual. And I do still think that a lot, of what we see, is some sort of residual energy playing over and over again. But the more I investigate kind of, and when I do encounter something that I do think is actually paranormal, it really does seem to be interactive. And I mean, it's interesting because, I've been in this field for a long time out doing investigations. And things have changed so much, like just in the 20 years that I've been out doing this. I remember back in the day when your investigation toolbox was, a notebook and a pen, maybe a full-size cassette recorder, a cassette recorder, maybe a 35 millimeter film camera or a Polaroid.
Yep.
And everybody accepted orbs as being ghosts for some reason.
Lord. I'm sorry, but I don't fall in that category at all. Not even a little bit, because dust particles, guess what, look like orbs. So,
yeah.
And that's my skeptical side.
But some of these orbs, I mean, you can tell they're not dust.
The only way I would ever be convinced is if they put out their own light source and they didn't reflect light of any kind. Other than that, a dust particle is so small, the slightest little bit of wind gust in one area other than another can make that thing move in crazy little ways. And
to me, that's been scientifically proven for 20 years, but you still have people that will fight you over it.
Yes, and
what about when it goes toward the ovulus or something that goes into it, then it speaks?
I'm it's just me, but I just say it's bunk.
So you need to be in complete darkness and see a light.
It produces its own light, then I will be convinced. Otherwise, it's dust particles.
Well, when you got night vision, does that count as complete darkness?
Yeah, because if it produces its own light, it will be very bright because you're in night vision.
Right.
It won't be just a dust particle, and I still have never seen a very bright object moving around with night vision. I don't know. Again, whatever. But
I started something.
No. I mean, it's okay. It really is. It's okay because that just shows that everybody has their own opinions, and it's okay because no one knows the answer.
Some, I mean, not personally, but on TV, which that's where I see all my stuff.
Right.
That some look intelligent moving. I mean,
yeah, I think that goes back with intent. If you tell me what you think that it says, then I'm going to think it says it. And when someone says, hey, I was doing this, and then look at this little particle that moves in this direction, and you're like, oh my God, look, it's an orb. I don't know. It's my opinion. I like to say that a lot, but it is my opinion. I will say I haven't been convinced of orbs. That's what I will say. Because dust particles exist.
Okay, I'll take that. But when we catch one on camera and you're like, golly bum, did you see that? We're going to go back to this show and listen.
All right. Well, I'm not saying I could never be convinced. I'm just saying I have never been convinced to this point.
Okay.
Right? I'm not above being convinced. How about you, Theresa? I mean,
yeah, I try to have an open mind. Like I said, since I've started this, I've learned a lot. My opinions have changed. So yeah, I'm one of those people that I would rather have too much data than not enough data. Absolutely. Collect everything and put it all together.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hey, we got 15 minutes. I think we need to take a little quick break. Quick break, and then come back and let her tell all her info and If anybody in the chat room's got any questions or anything.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. And yeah, I've got a question when we come back too. So.
Okay, that's good.
So everybody better stay tuned because I've got a question when we come back now. What does it say? Hey, how are you doing? Oh, doing good.
Green-Eyed Phoenix and South Ozman
It's in the chat room.
in the Podbean chat room.
Hello.
Got Bird Dog, me and you and Jeff and Shell. Where'd you go?
Shell just jumped off the chat room. She got tired of where this was going. No. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking to Theresa Racer with Spectral Research and Investigation. We're going to take a quick break. Remember, her website is linked to our site at paranormal411.org. And she will tell you how to get to all of her stuff also here in just a few minutes when we come back. And so we are live on Spreaker and on Podbean. You could also go to paranormal411.org and come to our live show and chat room. Chat with us there also. And you are listening to Paranormal 411 with Jason Scott and David Reagan. And we'll be back right after this quick break.
In a world on the edge of oblivion, go to paranormal411.org for all of your paranormal, extraterrestrial, and cryptid needs. This is Jeff Reagan of the band Catalyst. Visit Paranormal 411. Click on our link on the right-hand side to listen to or purchase any of our albums on BandLab.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join us.
Well, I think we're back here. That was a very quick break. You there, Theresa?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Told you it was a quick break.
You said you had a question, David.
I did. You know, I've never asked this question, and I don't know why. But on one of these shows, I've never asked this question. And so you're going to get to be the first person I ask this question to.
Awesome.
Yeah, so...
That's a lot of pressure there.
It is, isn't it?
Theresa Racer, David Reagan, 10:13 p.m. 2/4/2022.
Uh-oh. So, no, I mean, what would you tell somebody that was interested in doing what it is that you do, investigating these paranormal type things? You know, what could you tell them about if they was interested in it, how to get started and you know, how to actually go about doing this?
You know, I would definitely tell them to learn everything that you can, and you know, read, listen to podcasts, you know, watch documentaries, watch these shows. Look at everything from every different perspective, and you're going to kind of quickly, you know, if you do that, rule out, okay, these are the best practices. These are, you know, I don't know, maybe you should kind of avoid these types of things. But yeah, just, you know, and don't ever stop learning. I've been researching this almost my entire life, and I'm still learning stuff every day. You know, and that's really one of the major points of my blog is, you know, that's where I share what I come across that I think is cool and interesting, so I share it there. But yeah, I mean, if you want to get into this, I always tell people it's probably not a good idea to start by investigating your own home. You might find out that it's haunted and you're not quite ready for that. So I generally tell people, don't start investigating your own home, but instead, kind of reach out to see, is there anybody in your area that you can tag along with, or, go to these public hunts, get a feel for this field and how it works. Don't go out and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a bunch of equipment that really, scientifically doesn't detect ghosts anyway. But don't start investing in a bunch of equipment until okay, this is what I want to do. Not so much now, but like the TAPS phenomenon, when TAPS was going big, Ghost Hunters was on TV, Ghost Adventures had just started, everybody was starting a group. And, they were spending all this money on equipment, and they were going out to, cemeteries and all these places like 3 or 4 times a week, and then they got burned out like within a couple months and were gone. So yeah, I just, kind of take it slow, learn as much as you can, network with who you can. Don't spend a ton of money until you know for sure this is what you want to do.
We got a question
okay.
from Green Eyed Phoenix in the Podbean chat room.
Okay.
What if it is your home that causes you to investigate? I mean, would you go out and do all this stuff?
If you're interested in investigating because you're experiencing stuff at your own home, I kind of have mixed feelings on that. That's really a kind of like a personal issue that you have to think about. Do you want to investigate your own home? Are you ready to deal with the answers that, you might get? Do you have the skills to properly analyze the data that you collect? And, if you think that I know the difference between, the plumbing knocking and a ghost knocking, or, and you can say, okay, if I find evidence that the home is haunted, I'm okay with that. I say, go ahead and investigate your own home. Just kind of remember, though, that there is a theory that anytime that you go into a location and you attempt to interact with what's there, you're giving them permission to interact with you. Right. You got to be ready for that.
Yeah. And I think sometimes in those situations, if it was me, right, and I didn't have the gifts that I say I have, which, I'm not expecting anybody to agree or disagree with me on that. But, and I've had to deal with this my whole life. I would also say, if it's your own home, see if you can invite, like you was trying to say earlier, invite a team over and see if you can tag along with them while they did your house, so you could understand proper protocols and understand how things kind of work and stuff, because
at the very least, you're getting that objective perspective from somebody that isn't there 24/7.
Yes.
They can come in and look at things with fresh eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
But, I mean, I know, unfortunately, a lot of people don't have an opportunity to go out with, other people. Groups are kind of hit and miss sometimes in some areas. You might not have a group close to you. So just use your discretion. And, at the very least, grab a couple like-minded buddies or family members and be like, hey, can you help me out with this?
Yeah.
That's what I did with Jason.
And they run off.
12 years ago.
This is what started this.
And then you might go on to, start an awesome podcast and do this for a living.
2012, Dave comes up to me. Hey, man, come over. We work together, okay? Come over. Let's investigate my house. I think there's a ghost in it. This is after he shows me a picture
It's an awesome
of his
picture.
son with a little girl hanging upside down with black
gosh.
eyes, from the, and I'm like, okay. So I go over, and the things that I experienced through the EVPs and the meters was crazy.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I got to go. I left and I thought about it for a while, and finally I come back and we done it again, and
Got 2 grade A EVPs.
yeah,
Out of that.
and we done it again, and it's been interesting ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
MyHouseIsHaunted.com.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's how we started it.
We started on what was that platform? Oh, I can't think of it.
I don't remember.
But we've been doing this since 2012, and just for it's just for fun, really.
Yeah.
We love it,
Yeah. It's great.
and I'm glad that we have awesome guests like you that will come on and just talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, that's what makes the show. Jason and I could talk, but when we have someone on that has been in the field like you have and doesn't mind coming on and enlightening people, and we reach a pretty wide audience. We have pretty big audience that we reach. And when someone comes on and shares their experiences and shares their knowledge, I think that is what we miss in these kind of fields. And the fact that, and I don't want to say, tooting our own horn or anything, but we do it in a way that's different than most other people. It's more of a conversation. We try to just talk. It's not more of a question and answer session or something. We just have a good conversation, and we've been accused of getting off topic 1.5 million times. But the thing about a conversation is that sometimes those rabbit holes open up, and you just got to explore them.
Yeah, and some of the best stuff comes from jumping down those rabbit holes.
Yes, exactly. But yes, we definitely have to thank you for coming on and stuff.
Hopefully you'll come
I
back.
really appreciate it. I've been a fan of the show for a long time, so I was thrilled when y'all reached out.
Well,
thank you.
That's nice to hear.
It is. Let everybody know where they can find you, reach you, especially if they live in your area and stuff. If they might need help or something. I mean, if you do that kind of thing, for sure.
Yeah, if you want to follow our investigations, we do about an investigation a month or so. Or if you need, us to come out and check out your home or your business or your property, the best place to find us, you can find our website. Spectral Research website is SRIHuntingtonWV.com. That's our main website. We're also on Facebook. We're on YouTube. I think we're on Twitter. I don't handle our social media. I don't know if we're on Twitter or not. But yeah, we're on most of the major social platforms. Or if you're just interested in, reading about all of, the hauntings of West Virginia, the historical oddities, stuff like that, you can definitely check out my blog. It's Theresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State. It's blogspot.com, so I would just Google it. I wouldn't even try to type in the whole thing.
It's a great blog. I've looked at it several times.
And it is linked up on our website also. So,
and I'm on all the social media under that too, just under Theresa's Haunted History. So, I'd love to connect with anybody that wants to chat paranormal or has any additional questions. And if you're in the area, I will be speaking next month, March 12th, at the West Virginia Monster Con, hosted by Dave Spinks. Yeah, that'll be in Richwood, West Virginia.
That's awesome.
You can come
Yeah,
hear me
it
talk
is.
about West Virginia's cemetery legends.
Ooh.
What? We're
Hey,
gonna have to
you
have
know-
another show already
I
on West
know.
Virginia. That would be an awesome show by itself.
We like cemeteries.
Yes.
Or David does. I kind of jump back in the truck when stuff starts happening.
Yeah, we had a crazy experience on an old cemetery around here, and Jason's. It's funny. His camera
Everything
completely stopped working.
Died. Everything
died.
went dead, and I'm seeing these little red and white lights, and David's out there in the middle of the thing taking pictures, and I'm saying, I'll be in the truck.
It's what's funny is that while he was filming it, you could look with your naked eye and you didn't see nothing. You'd look back through the camera view and you saw all these lights going on around these graves and stuff. It was really crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so Jason was like, I'm leaving. And when he said that, his camera completely shut off. Lost all power. Shut off. And Jason's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, come on, man. We're here. Let's continue.
We hadn't been there 10 minutes.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, he was gone. And I'm like, he left me out there by myself. And I'm like, oh, come on. So I ended up going back to the truck.
I'm a big old scaredy cat, I guess.
It's all right.
But we really do appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you'll come back.
Yeah, we've got to have another show now on what you're speaking about. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd love to. I really appreciate y'all having me on tonight.
Well, thanks for saying yes and taking the time out of your day to come on for a couple of hours and talk with us. And like I said, some of these people that are on the fence or not for sure, or maybe interested in it and wanting to get into it and stuff. And things like this helps.
So you did say you was kind of getting into cryptids, right?
Yeah, I'm not ready to go out, camping deep in the woods overnight, but I love looking at it from a historical point because I have a history background. And so that's where...
you should come out. We're going to be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference.
3rd annual.
Yeah, the 3rd annual. We'll have a booth set up, and
yeah,
there's, it's a great venue.
It is, and there's great speakers there.
Yeah, there's speakers. They don't exactly agree on everything, but they bring you different.
You get different perspectives on this. Yeah, some people believe in the woo, some don't.
I do.
Jason's a woo
because I'm dimensional,
and I'm not off that fence. I mean, I go.
See, I'm like you. I'm on that fence. Is it a flesh and blood creature, or is it more interdimensional?
Exactly, because
Maybe it's both.
Yeah, and if you look at the Native American side of it, they talk about it in a spiritual aspect, but also a physical aspect.
Yeah,
they don't differentiate between it when you go into the Native American side. So, I think one of the reasons maybe, and we have a guy on all the time, Matt Sieber from East Tennessee Bigfoot, and he's of the same thing of where he says, maybe the problem and the reason we haven't got better data on it is because we are discounting the woo and all of this other stuff that happens. And we're saying he's only a flesh and blood creature and that's all he could be. And what if it's not? So it's a fascinating topic.
Yeah,
just like any of this.
If you get a chance, though, you could
come out and visit us.
Visit us 23rd of July.
Yep.
That's not too far of a drive.
In Gatlinburg.
Gatlinburg,
we'll be down there all day.
Yeah, it's great. Last year, and we was at the smaller venue. This year we'll be at the bigger venue.
I would get my ticket early, but
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Is that last year tickets, and there was a little over 2,000 tickets that they had sold out months before the show.
Oh, wow. So that was the thing with the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. I was going to go to that and didn't get my ticket in time.
Yes. And now last year we actually had, 4 tickets we gave away on the show. We gave some tickets away on the show, but it ended up being, I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, there's David Politis that was there. I mean, all kinds of great people. A lot of people know David Politis from, what he does with the Missing 411.
Yeah.
But before Missing 411, he was in the Bigfoot side of everything and doing a lot of research and a lot of DNA analysis from it. And so he's a really big guy on Bigfoot, and that he's an actual creature and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, it's a great thing, and it's only getting bigger every year.
Yeah,
it'll only be a time where it won't be able to be held at the conference center there in Gatlinburg anymore.
And to us, I'm speaking for David. Bigfoot is part of paranormal. So.
It is, yeah. I agree 100%. I think like what you said earlier, Theresa. I think in a way it all, whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, the paranormal and all. I think it all falls underneath that paranormal umbrella, and and it's all unexplainable and great. It's great. It's great to talk about it. It's awesome.
Well, we're at the end of the show here, and we want to thank you again thank you again for joining us and talking about your experiences. And remember, Theresa Racer, you can look her up on Facebook. She has a blog, and she's with
Spectral Research and Investigation.
And, well, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And get in touch with us, or we'll get in touch with you about another show.
Yes. About your talk, because I'm already fascinated. I'm already ready to talk about it now. So
when is your talk?
There might be a book involved as well.
Woohoo! Hey,
you have a book?
That'll be awesome, because if you do a book and stuff, you need to tell us, because
we love getting books and signed books.
Yes,
too.
We love buying books, and we love buying signed books. Yeah, because we've got a whole library of them over here.
I know that feeling. It'll be March 12th.
That's awesome.
Library.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely let us know, because we'll have you on, and we'll help you promote that book, because that's just fantastic. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you being on. So thank you very much.
Welcome. I had a great time.
All right. That's Theresa Racer. Great show tonight.
Thank you, Theresa. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yes, ma'am. Good night. Well, that was...
Time has come. The end is near.
Ooh.
We have to go off the air. Bird dog. Make plans, son. Make plans, because we're taking your entourage with us to the Bigfoot.
Phoenix. Yes. The Bigfoot conference we do every year. It's fantastic. Has excellent guests. And I will tell everybody, if you could come to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, do it. Come by our booth and talk to us. We'd love to talk to you.
What else? What we got next week? Nothing.
We don't have any. It's not like last year where we had everybody every week, because, man, that was tiring.
Yeah, it was.
It was like, 10 months and a guest every weekend of 10 months.
Well, maybe we can conjure up a guest. If not, we'll do it solo.
Yeah, I think we could pretty easily conjure up a guest. We need to start going back through a lot of the people that we had last year.
Right.
And having them back on. Finding some new people, like tonight, Theresa. Freaking fantastic. This was a good show. And
yes.
And I look forward to talking to her again about the topic, Haunted cemeteries? Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's great. If I would have known that, we'd have talked about that all night. But, that just leaves room for another show. We had all kinds of great guests last year. Check back with all of our other shows that we've done. And we'll definitely have a lot of those men and women back on this year. And hey, if you have someone that you know that would be a good guest, send it in to us. info@paranormal411.org. That's info@paranormal411.org. Send it in. Hey, and if you have a testimonial of something that's happened to you, Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, it doesn't matter what it is, send it in. And we'll talk about it. Or we'll let you come on and talk about it yourself. Because we definitely want to do a night of just people talking about stuff that's happened to them, don't we, Jason?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great. That's one of the things I think that would be fantastic one night to do. So, just want to let everybody know that tonight we talked to Theresa Racer with Spectral Research and Investigation. Her website is linked on our site at paranormal411.org. And we are live on Spreaker and on Podbean. You could also come to our website at paranormal411.org and come into our live show and chat room. And sign up, become a member. It's free. When you become a member, you could chat with us in the chat room because you'll sign in and become part of the show. Because, with us, you are part of the show. You ask questions, we'll try to make sure that the guest gets those questions, don't we, Jason?
Oh, yeah.
So, thanks everybody for showing up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. This is the time of the night that's the hardest. Tell everybody good night.
Bird Dog, we'll talk later about why I'm scared of ghosts.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of ghosts. I haven't met one yet that scares me, so. But I want to thank everybody for showing up. I know Jason does.
Yes.
And I think this was an excellent show. I want to thank Theresa again from Spectral Research and Investigations for coming on and doing the show with us. And this is the end of the night. And stay tuned. Look on our Facebook page, which is the same, Paranormal 411, or our website.
Twitter,
Paranormal 411.
YouTube,
Paranormal 411. All Paranormal 411.
Yeah, just type in Paranormal 411.
You get all kinds of crazy stuff when you type in Paranormal 411. And keep up with us, and we'll definitely let you know we get a guest next week, or if it's just going to be Jason and I sitting here talking to you, which will be just as fun.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Remember, go to paranormalityradio.com, and you can vote for us as your favorite station. We are also on all your favorite platforms, so wherever you like to listen to your podcast, look at Paranormal 411 because we're there. Please rate us and give us a thumbs up. It only helps us out, and we have all of you to thank for that. So have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal 411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join us.